I've run into people out that know what I've been doing all these years. They never can make the connection. I mean, I have done a show before that there were guys doing something illegal at the party. And that was interesting, to say the least. I mean, I'm doing a magic show in a basement and I'm facing everyone, but the back door is where the other family members came in facing me and I'm facing them and I'm doing my show and they reach up in the rafter to get some drugs or whatever it was and they grabbed it and went back out. And I almost choked, laughed. I mean, it was funny because I'm like, I'm thinking like, oh my God, if he only knew, you know, who I was, you know. So I kind of definitely kept that away because this was like my early years. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I could get a pinch right now, but I'm busy doing this magic show, you know. And it would be interesting if they got caught and people knew right where to go. They were like, who the heck told them where our stash spot was at? So I thought to myself, I'm like, they would figure it out. Like, must have been the clown. So my aunt was doing some clown parties before she went to medical school. And I looked at what she was doing and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like the real entertainer in the family. You know, hook me up, let me go ahead and do some shows. So I wasn't ever introduced to clowning before that. I didn't know anything other than the Bozo Show. My aunt, her name was Shelly. She was Shellbo the clown. My younger sister started behind me and she's an attorney. It was JD. So I didn't want anything tagged to my name. I wanted something the kids could say easy. It's like Dingdong. So it just stuck. Something for kids to remember, I thought. Hit the doorbell, what do you get? Boom, ding dong. I started off with what I knew my aunt had, you know, the regular conventional looking clown costume, the nose, found some shoes. I left a party and I heard someone saying, man, he's like a hip hop clown, you know, because I'm dancing and it's fun, exciting, a little comedy. And it just kind of took on the label of hip hop clown. My grandmother made a costume for me one year. It was like a full suit, still kind of conventional, but it was more of a jumpsuit. And it kind of took away from the conventional crazy rainbow or yellow hair, Picango hat, almost like LL Cool J, you know, the earring in and stuff like that. I did some shows. The business kept going. I went away to college and I would come home on the weekends and do shows. My parents didn't want me to work a part-time, so that was the easiest way to make some money during school without interrupting with the schedule. So I, you know, came home on the weekends and did shows. During that time, the owner got out of the business due to health reasons, and they just kept continuing to get calls, and they were specifically asking for me for Ding Dong. So I'm like, okay, all right. I think there's something there. So I continued to do more shows and started advertising, and it just took off. Over the years, let's say over 32 years, I've had a handful of parties that the kid was scared in the beginning, and you were tearing them off of me at the end of the party. You know, they saw through the makeup, they saw into me and said, okay, this person's good. You know, they're a friendly, fun-spirited person. I'm not going to continue to be afraid, you know, and it was great. A few parties, you know, parents would say, or family is like, I'm gonna get the clown. And I tell them, don't do that. You know, that's like parents telling kids, oh, I'm gonna get the police up. Don't do that, because then you paint the wrong picture. Growing up in Englewood, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. My mom is a retired police officer, so even now being an officer, she would always tell me when we leave, always expect the unexpected. I never thought over all the years that I would be clowning around that someone would try to rob me by gunpoint. I never, ever, ever thought that. They were having a sleepover, and I was the last bit of entertainment before the end of the night. I don't know why you would amp the kids up and then try to put them to sleep. I don't get it. But anyway, I guess they had a lot of stuff going on, I guess. And I was the last entertainment that was there. So I was wrapping up about 10. And two guys kind of passed my car while I was packing up. You know, one of the two kind of shouted out like, hey, you got change for 100. And I looked over like, no, you know, trying to ready to leave. And then one of them said, do you have a solid 50? You know, and I'm just thinking they're just picking with the clown. People would pick, you know, say things all the time. It's funny. There's a clown, haha, you know. But I had no idea what was coming next. I finished packing up, but I kind of slowed down and watched them until I couldn't see them anymore there. Till they were out of sight. Boom. I finished grabbing everything, said my goodbyes to everyone inside, and I got ready to sit in the car. Sat down right before I could close my doors when one of the two, closer than we are now, just between the door jamb, if you will, so came up right on me and just said, up everything you got. And my whole life just kind of blew, you know, it just was like, so I just kind of reacted. and I jumped out, grabbed it, we tussled, and I then ended up having to use it on him, and unfortunately he didn't make it. And it took me a long time. Took me a long time to get over the fact that it happened. I lost a family member, and it kind of jogged that memory of that incident. It just hit me from left field and took me to a place that I felt like, man, I really can't work now. It's like I have to take some time away. And I was able to do that and get the proper therapy and stuff like that I never got when an incident happened. We have a resource for counseling and things like that. And at that time, they said, you're okay. And I don't know, maybe I was, but I don't think I was. I guess, I'm a firm believer that things happen for a reason. And, there were 35 kids inside that, unfortunately, if I wasn't there, what could have happened? If they went in and had the kids and the staff and things like that. So I guess God put me there to intercept what could have been a very, very traumatic situation for 35 kids. So that was the worst. It took me 2 years to drive down that street. It took 2 years. It took 2 years before, I would go all the way around. I could not pass that corner, I just couldn't.
Next week in Belmont, The Perfect Husband.
I am a professional mind reader.
From Superphonic Studios, this is Chicago. Listen every Sunday.